10th class student, good morning all of you. We are going to start with the next chapter today, that is nationalism in India. Is that clear? Okay, we have done nationalism in Europe and we have completed the notes also. Today we are going to start with the second chapter, that is nationalism in India. As I told you all, that nationalism in India emerged after 100 years when it happened in Europe. That is in 19th century it came in Europe. After 100 years, that is in 20th century, it came in India, in our country. Especially now, development of anti-imperial movement, that is, we were the victim of imperialism. Britishers were the imperialists who were ruling over us, and we were the colonies of the Britishers. When we were struggling against the oppression of these Britishers, when we were being repressed by them, when we were being humiliated, when we were being oppressed by all these people, that was the time that we started sharing our problems. Okay, and this sharing created a kind of a bond of unity amongst ourselves. Either it was in India or in Vietnam or in Burma or any other place, nationalism emerged because of all these things in our country. That now in our country, each of the group, they tried to interpret the meaning of nationalism in their own way. They were fighting in their own locality, and then they were also becoming a part of an all India movement. This was the time when we all got united under one. Okay, we are going to pick up a story from 1920 onwards, when Mahatma Gandhi came on the scenario, and we are going to study two important movement of our country, that is non-cooperation movement as well as civil disobedience movement. We pick up a story after 1919, when the First World War had ended, and with the end of First World War, there was a new kind of political and economic condition which has emerged in our country. Okay, we have to remember this, that Britishers were ruling over us, and Britishers had spent a lot amount of money in this First World War. They had inculcated a large amount of defense expenditure, and this expenditure they had to meet in some or the other form. So therefore they tried to create a new kind of economic difficulties in our country. Say for example, after the First World War, the first thing which they did was that is income tax, which was not there earlier it was only the land tax which was there. Income tax was introduced. Okay, then is custom duties were increased, taxes increased continuously. Taxes increased continuously, as well as price too increased in our country. It almost became double, and this all meant extreme hardship for the common people, who were finding it difficult to pay their taxes and to survive. Meanwhile, there was forced recruitment in the army and villagers were forced to get themselves enrolled as soldiers so that they can fight at the fronts. Meanwhile, this also resulted in 1920-21, there was continuous crop failure in many parts of our country, and this was accompanied by an influenza epidemic in which 12 to 13 million people died. Under all this scenario, a new leader with a novel method of fighting emerged, and that was Mahatma Gandhi. January 1915, Mahatma Gandhi returned from South Africa, where he had already become a very famous personality, because he had fought the Britishers, the white regime, against the apartheid, the racist regime which was being practiced over there, and he had already become famous. Now he followed over there a novel method which was called as Satyagraha. He said Satyagraha used to believe in non-violence, and Mahatma Gandhi said that if we are fighting for justice and if we are fighting for truth, if we are fighting against injustice and if we are fighting for truth, then we do not require any kind of physical force. Okay, neither we require any kind of violence, neither we require any kind of aggression. That is, without physical force, without seeking vengeance on the oppressor, we can still force him to see the truth. And truth is something which is finally going to triumph. This was his belief. Now, many of the people, they used to call that Satyagraha is something very passive. It can never help us to gain independence. But Mahatma Gandhi said that Satyagraha is not passive, it is active. Okay, it is as active as it was in South Africa. Beside that, he said that Britishers, they worship the war gods, and we Indians can never compete with the Britishers as far as arms and ammunitions are concerned, because they are far much superior as compared to the Indians. So what we have done, we have made non-violence as our dharma, as a religion. And that is why he told the people that to practice non-violence and fight against the Britishers. Is that clear? Generally this question is asked, that why satyagraha is not passive but it is active. So you have to understand this, that satyagraha, it emphasizes the power of truth. Now before coming into active politics, Mahatma Gandhi organized satyagraha in various places. 1916 he traveled to Champaran, Bihar, where the indigo planters were under dire conditions. They were living under a miserable condition, and there he organized satyagraha for the indigo planters. Okay, 1917 he organized satyagraha for the peasants of Kheda district in Gujarat, who were affected by plague epidemic as well as high taxes. For them he organized satyagraha in the year 1917. In the year 1918 he organized satyagraha for the mill workers of Ahmedabad. Okay, and then came another development. Now all these development in our country are linked to each other. 1919 1919, the Imperial Legislative Council in England, it had passed one act, and that act was called as Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act gave the government the right to imprison any person who was involved in any kind of political activity. That person could be arrested without prior notice, and he could be put into jail. As soon as this Rowlatt Act was passed, then there was a lot of anger among the Indians. That is, how can anybody be arrested without any kind of notice? So government got enormous power to repress any kind of political activity which would happen in the country. So in our country, all the political leaders, they decided that they are going to start a Rowlatt Satyagraha, which was supposed to start with a strike on 6th of April. So 6th of April, there was Hartal, which was being considered. Rallies were organized, workers went on strike, shops closed down. Okay, and the government feared that the lines of control, that is railways and telegraphs, they are going to be attacked. So it started repressing the political leaders. Many of the political leaders were arrested, and Mahatma Gandhi and the other important leaders, they were not allowed to enter Delhi. Meanwhile, in Amritsar, there was a very peaceful satyagrahis who were just demonstrating, or they were just taking part in a procession. Government lathi charge on them. Okay, and on these peaceful satyagrahis, and in return the satyagrahis attacked the police stations as well as post offices as well as railways also. So year curfew was declared, martial law was imposed, and General Dyer was another person who took the command. Is that clear? Now, meanwhile, it came 13th, this all happened from 6th to 10th of April. Meanwhile, 13th April was the festival of Baisakhi, and a number of villagers, they had come from the villages to celebrate the festival of Baisakhi. They all were not knowing that curfew was imposed over there, and they all collected in Jallianwala Bagh. Okay, General Dyer entered over there and closed the only exit point which was there, and he opened fire on the public, killing many of people, and many of people jumped into the dry well which was there and got themselves killed. Okay, General Dyer declared he wanted to create a kind of moral effect, that is, he wanted to create awe and terror in the minds of the satyagrahis. General Dyer was criticized for a lot for this. Okay, and this news of Jallianwala Bagh, as soon as it spread to the entire country was shocked by what had happened. People came to streets. There were strikes, there was clashes, there was attacks on buildings. Okay, government responded with brutal repression. Repression means, children, when we use this word repression or oppression, it means जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं अत्याचार. Okay, the satyagrahis were humiliated and they were terrorized. The police forced them to rub their noses on ground and do salam to all sahib. But the news spread like wildfire in the entire country, and the entire country was beyond control. Seeing violence spread everywhere, Mahatma Gandhi once again decided to call off Rowlatt Satyagraha. Now, Rowlatt Satyagraha, since it was becoming non-violent, it was called off. Now, the impact of this Rowlatt Satyagraha was this, that it was no doubt, it was a widespread movement, yet it was limited only to towns and cities. And Mahatma Gandhi wanted that India, since it is a country of villages, so maximum number of people should be there who can participate, and there should be unity between different communities who are living in our country, particularly the Hindus and Muslims. This was also the time that Turkey was defeated in the First World War, which was fighting along with Germany. And with just like Treaty of Versailles was signed with Germany, similarly there was another treaty which was called as Treaty of Sevres that was being imposed on Turkey. Plus, the Muslims had their religious head, the Islamic head of the spiritual head of the Muslim community was called as Khalifa. And Khalifa was supposed to be having temporal power, that is supernatural power. Okay, and the winning countries decided that this post of Khalifa is going to be abolished. As soon as this was being done, the religious sentiments of the Muslim all over the world was shattered. They everywhere there was Khilafat committee which was set up for working against this move of the winning countries. In India also there were two brothers who was called as Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali. They set up the Khilafat committee in Bombay. Mahatma Gandhi thought that this is the right time to unite both Hindus as well as Muslim. That is, why not to take the Khilafat committee? So in the Congress, this was being discussed, and somewhere in September 1920, at the Calcutta Congress session, which was supposed to take place September 1920, it was decided that non-cooperation Khilafat movement is going to be started. Is that clear? Okay, so it was decided. Now, Mahatma Gandhi, in his book, he had declared that in his book Hind Swaraj, he declared that British rule was established in the country because we Indians allowed it. We Indians cooperated with the Britishers, and if we refuse to cooperate with the Britishers, then British rule is going to fall down within 2 to 3 years. It is going to come to an end. It is going to collapse within 2 to 3 years, and Swaraj is going to come. Now, non-cooperation. Everybody used to say that what is non-cooperation? Non-cooperation movement, Gandhiji explained that it is going to be unfolded in stages. With the first stage, the people are going to give up all the titles and the awards which was being given by the British to the Indians. Then in the second stage, they are going to boycott all the civil services, police, courts, schools, legislative councils. And in the third stage, they are going to follow boycott as well as Swadeshi. Okay, boycott of foreign goods, foreign cloth. Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali continuously toured the entire country to mobilize more and more support for this movement, non-cooperation Khilafat movement. However, there was some kind of disagreement in the Congress itself. Okay, in many of the Congress leaders, there was supposed to be some election which was coming up for some legislative council, and many of the leaders, we Indians were having two type of leaders. One was the extremists and one was the moderates. The moderates always believed that we should cooperate with the Britishers and we should work out for something mutual. Okay, we should keep on appealing to the Britishers for more and more favors. But extremists were there that they used to say that we should not have anything to do with the Britishers and we should just fight for Swaraj. Okay, so in the Congress there was some kind of disagreement that whether we should launch this non-cooperation movement or not. Meanwhile, another session took place of Congress in Nagpur in December 1920, and a compromise was worked out in which it was decided that non-cooperation Khilafat movement is going to be launched. Now, for us children, it is very much important. It is very much important to understand that non-cooperation, no doubt, it was a movement which involved boycott, which involved Swadeshi, which involved picketing of the foreign clothes, then bonfiring the foreign cloth also, then picketing of liquor shops and all this, and adopting Swadeshi, and strikes were conducted, protests were there, and all these kind of things were there. The main thing is that the different groups in our country, everybody interpreted this movement in a different manner. That is what we are going to study. Now, for you all, this completes your part 1 of your chapter 2. Okay, so all of you please read this chapter. In the next part, in the next video, we are going to start with the next part. Is that clear, children? So just now everybody, for today what you all do is you all read, you all take out the book and you read this, the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. Is that clear? Okay.